today we've got with us Representative Johnny Garrett. Johnny, what district do you represent and what committees do you have?
I represent the 45th district, and that's in Sumner County. That incorporates most of Hendersonville, all of Gilletsville, Millersville, White House, the Shackle Island area, and Cottontown in Sumner County. And then I serve on the Commerce Committee, the Banking Committee for the sub, and then I serve on the Civil Justice Committee, and the subcommittee is the Children and Families, and then I also serve on the Full Finance Committee and the Finance Subcommittee. So,
and if I'm not mistaken, I believe you're also got that title they call the Whip. Is that correct?
That is right. I am the Republican whip for the House, and I have several different roles as it relates to being the whip that I enjoy thoroughly. So,
okay. All right. Well, I appreciate that introduction. So I'm going to jump right into the questions. Sure. What are your thoughts regarding the need for the special session that Governor Lee has demanded?
Well, the need, I may have some question on. Obviously, the governor, under statute, has the authority to call in the legislature for a special session, and I am an elected representative, so I'm going to do my job and show up, right? I will debate anything and everything under the sun, whether I like it or not. That is what we are called to do. So while I'm not totally certain or totally thrilled of the topic that's been thrown out there for a special session, but I'm certainly interested in figuring out ways that we can increase public safety through some mental health benefits. My guess is if this turns into anything short of that, then in all honesty, there's no need for a special session. But as long as it's within topics that I believe we can make some good inroads on to increase public safety in this state, I'm willing to have that debate.
At this time, what are your thoughts regarding this red flag law or an extreme risk protection order that the governor is seeking, which would allow government to seize guns from individuals who presently can legally own or possess them?
Well, I think our constitutional rights, especially those in the Second Amendment, should be the utmost rights that we uphold as we take that oath to not only the Tennessee Constitution, but our U.S. Constitution. And anything that would restrict those rights, especially the government restricting those rights, because as you know, as we all know, the Constitution, both for Tennessee and the U.S., is restrictions on the powers of government. And those that are in the government should be the ones that are most aware that they restrict the power that we have. So red flag laws are too restrictive, right? I believe out of the gate, a red flag law that goes after a gun first, that wants to take someone's constitutional right away from them, is unconstitutional. It can be used in ways that can be abused. That may not have the effect that we are looking to take care of those that are truly sick. Because what if someone tries to say, this person is just suspicious, this person, maybe walking down the sidewalk on the wrong side of the road, and all of a sudden we're going to swoop in and take whatever object he might have a constitutional right to carry, including a gun. And I think that's too extreme. And so to focus on the object, on the gun first, which is the way I understand and interpret a red flag law, is something that I will not, cannot support, because I think it violates my oath to the Constitutions. So if it turns into something like that, I can't imagine that it's going to go anywhere. There is no appetite, at least from the Republican caucus, for me as a state representative, and then me as a citizen, right, that has any gumption, any forethought that wants to strip the Second Amendment rights of Tennesseans and Americans across this country. Because this is an unusual time, Archie. I mean, I don't know that any legislative body has met in either a special session setting or in a regular session that's been solely focused on what our critics are going to say is gun control. I mean, this I don't know if this has ever happened. So it's going to bring some attention to the subject that I believe we are not going to discuss issues that take those Second Amendment rights away from folks.
Okay. With that being said, and I appreciate that answer, and comports with what I believe as well. What alternatives to a red flag or ERPO law do you think should be considered by the legislature?
Well, I've been trying to figure out a way to, in a constitutional due process sense, how can we remove an individual that is clearly off mentally, that has clearly indicated credible indication that they want to hurt themselves or hurt others, and it is known that they have access to a weapon, right? How do we get that person out of the environment rather than just go after the gun, right? I'm a lawyer by trade. There's some conservatorship proceedings that are out there that take care of some of our elderly, or if you're not elderly and you have some sort of diminished capacity where you don't know who you are, or you can't write your checks, or you can't do things, there are already a procedure where you can remove those powers from someone to make sure they can properly take care of themselves. Now, I have not reached out to groups. I have not studied this in depth, but if we do anything that has anything to do with removing a person from their environment and focusing on the person, in my opinion, it should be similar to a conservatorship proceeding. And those aren't immediate. Now you can seek those, you can seek an emergency conservatorship, but it still takes more than like 5 days. There is still a judicial process. There is a medical provider involved. There is family that are involved, family that want this or family that see the need for this. And so, and there's an attorney ad litem that would be appointed for the person that could be subject to a conservatorship. So all these protections and guardrails that we already have in place for someone that can't simply write a check on their behalf to make sure that they're not abused. I'm looking into, is there a possibility that this same conservatorship path could apply in one of those situations where it's obvious to the court, obvious to the family, obvious to the medical provider that they've got some real issues and they may not need access to a gun, but it's going to be in that same vein. That won't be the only thing. You can't bring a conservatorship just for that. You've got to have all these other issues surrounding the person's issues rather than just that. That's just one of many things, the powers that they can take from someone that may need assistance through a conservatorship. Again, I'm in the very initial stages of this, but I'm looking into something like that. Those are the type debates that I'm willing to get involved in. And then if there's another argument to say, well, Johnny, this is going too far in conservatorship proceedings, I'll look at that and say, you're right. We can't go down that path. But I'm willing to have those conversations.
Well, I appreciate very much. And like I said, I didn't want to take much of your time. I'm just trying to get a feel. And I've asked a number of legislators, and I've been pretty pleased with the folks that have said, okay, if you're willing to tell me what the questions are and then give me time to think about it front end. I don't like to run around the corner and stick a microphone in somebody's face. That's not the way I do business.
And that happens.
Yeah, I know it happens, but it's not going to happen with me. That's not how we do business here. I think it's so important that we give an opportunity for you to get in front of folks, because right now everybody can't get next to Johnny Garrett, but I'm going to give them an opportunity to hear what you say, and hopefully that will help the public to understand what's going on. And so I do appreciate your time today. Thank you very much for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And I appreciate the Tennessee Firearms Association's work in this regard. I really do. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks.